Pastor Rodney Howard-Browne, thank you so much, sir, for joining us. I'm going to give you the floor now. Please take over with your co-host in the next 40 minutes or so. And that, of course, is Gary Haven and Owen Schroyer. But thank you for being the watchman on the wall that really, as you signaled this, then in the days that followed, the dam broke. This is so biblical. I really want to hear your teaching, sir. Take over.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on again. I just got back from a trip to Asia. I was in India, Sri Lanka, and Hong Kong, and everybody was so excited about the president. You know, not everybody watches the BBC and CNN, but there were many Christians there praying. People have joined the initiative to pray for the president. You know what I always say, it's a miracle that Donald Trump made it to the White House. And of course, he's there, he's undoing the agenda of the globalists. And so they're so upset. First of all, the Russian narrative comes, you know, it's on everything, Russia, Russia. Now, of course, that whole thing is unwinding, and they're finding out that Russia had nothing to do with Trump getting elected. It was actually the American people. So now, of course, they stirring up all this other nonsense now, trying to get racism going, get a race war, get what we call an American Spring going, and then it was actually supposed to start on the 2nd of July. So they're actually running late. But I tell you, I believe it's going to fail, because I don't believe the polls or anybody that says that the president has lost his support. I believe the president's support has grown. The American people are not stupid. They've seen through the lies of the mainstream media that has now been what people don't understand. When the president made the statement about Charlottesville and he talked about both sides, people don't understand that Antifa was co-opted, and so was Black Lives Matter was co-opted. And there's probably people inside the Ku Klux Klan that have been co-opted. So all of this stuff is probably a CIA operation anyway, to try to get a massive uprising going on in America, get a race war going, get a civil war going. But I tell you, we are praying, and I believe it's not going to happen. And I believe what they think is going to happen is going to backfire on them. It's going to backfire on the media. It's going to backfire on every plan. The way we're praying, that God would unravel every plan of the enemy and pull the wheels off of Pharaoh's chariots, that God would wreak havoc in the camp of the enemy, that he would turn on themselves like a dog on its own tail, and that the church is going to wake up, and the preachers need to, excuse me, Alex, the preachers need to grow a pair and stand up in the pulpit and call a spade and say it just like it is, and draw a line in the sand and tell the devil, you're not going to have America. God has heard our prayer. He gave us Donald J. Trump as a last-minute reprieve, and I don't believe God answers prayer for us suddenly now to be set back. And so I understand their plan to take him out, but they are not going to succeed, not on our watch. And we're not going quietly into history. They're smoking some incredibly bad weed if they think we're going quietly into history.
I'm going to skip this break so you have even more time. You're on fire, and it's total truth. And I had absolutely forgotten that Soros and all of them announced and spent hundreds of millions that July 2nd, the new revelation was coming. They were going to start race wars in America, and they think we're so stupid that it all fizzled out, but then it finally happened on Soros's birthday. They've announced it all, and then there's new levels of lying they're putting out against all of us. But as you said, you're right. Well, there's providence here, so please continue. I am going to leave now, or I'm going to be interrupting. I want the other co-host to jump in, but keep laying out what you're saying, because what you're saying is what's in my heart, what's intellectual, I understand, but also folks I know in the Pentagon, people I know that have been high-level CIA, State Department, not just Pachinik, they're saying exactly what you're saying and naming names. It's criminal elements of the CIA, not the whole CIA, but the deep state leftist, and they are so angry because he's turning the economy around. The blessings are coming back in when he, on January 20th, asked for God to come back into America and providence, and they use the name Jesus Christ. I mean, this is powerful, and this is clearly a spiritual war because they hate Christians. That's why they fund Orthodox Islam to attack Christians. So you've got 10 minutes to break, or 12 minutes to break, and we've got the crew here. Lay out, Pastor Brown, what we're facing, and then please give people your website so people can learn more about your powerful teaching. You'll be here with us till 40 after, but you can stay longer too. We've got another member of your great international and national organizations that also prays with Trump, Mr. Pena, joining us, but please continue.
Okay, so here's what they're trying to do. Obviously, they're trying to label everybody as a white extremist, as a racist. Our church here in Tampa is totally integrated. We have every tribe and tongue. We've been working in the inner city of Tampa. The church is 20 years old. I can go anywhere in the inner city and the people love us because they know how we've helped them and what we're doing. So the fact of the matter is this: what they want to try to do is go from what they call alt-right and KKK, white supremacists, and then label Christians. Conservative Christians are going to fit the bill too. So this is like almost like a Salem witch trial, where they're going to go on this hunt. You know, they first of all want to take out the president because he actually speaking on behalf of the people. And I didn't see anything wrong with what the president said on his first statement or even his second statement. I can't believe how the media would take everything and just twist it. So this is obviously a concerted effort of the media coming together with one purpose and one goal, to just label the president and try to put pressure on him to just quit, throw in the towel. But Mr. President, if you are watching or listening, don't stop. The American people are behind you. And here's the thing. In the 1700s, if you go back and look at England in the mid-1700s, about 1740, 1750, the UK was in the biggest upheaval. The whole of the country was, everybody was drinking. There were drunkards from the royal family all the way down. The British people had a bad name on the continent. In the rest of Europe, if you mentioned that you were British, they would almost like, you know, spit. It was a bad name. All the music, all the plays, all the poems were foul language, coarse. The penal code was so strict because of the crimes were so bad. Human slavery was at an all-time high. But then God sent a revival that started with the Wesley brothers that actually shook across England and actually jumped across the pond, that really caused the first great awakening in America, with people like George Whitefield and Jonathan Edwards and Peter Cartwright. The city of Boston only had 25,000 people in the population at the time, and they would preach and the crowds would come. And there was opposition, of course. People would actually moon them. They would urinate in their direction. But the city had to pass a law that no one could sit in the trees, because as they preached, the power of God would fall, and people would fall out of the trees under the power. So that's what shook early America. And even coming to the 1800s in Cambridge, Kentucky, when 25,000 people gathered, the city of Lexington only had 1,800 people in the population, but 25,000 people gathered. So God sent a great awakening in the 1700s and the 1800s, and America was in an upheaval. You know, before the foundation of this land, you had 13 rebel colonies, but God brought this nation together as one nation under God. Yes, there was a problem. Yes, there were problems with slavery and all that kind of stuff. But through divine providence, this became a nation woven together by the hand of God. And I'm not saying that America's been innocent, because as you and I know, that America's been got hijacked from the foundation of our Federal Reserve. And then the IRS that polices the American people, all the way down through the years, how they took over the education, how they began to dumb down the people, how they even took over the seminaries, and they began to take the word of God and make it of none effect, basically denying the virgin birth, denying the resurrection, and taking the power of God away from the churches. This was all a planned design that took place many, many years ago. Then you saw prayer taken out of schools. Then you saw the 10 Commandments taken from the courthouses. So we have a whole generation now that have been raised up. They have no fear of God, and they've been pumping the filth through Hollywood, through television, through everything possible, and entertainment, basically, to put the people into the trance that they're in right now. And you could see with NBC and ABC and CNN and all of these news agencies that basically are controlled by the same people that are basically pumping night and day. I was walking through the airport in Hong Kong, and there was CNN, and I could read the ticker tape, and everything was just attacking Trump night and day, night and day. So they're on an agenda right now, but I believe that we're going to see divine intervention. And I believe with all my heart that God is going to shake America from the White House to every house, from sea to shining sea, from Maine to the Keys to San Diego to Seattle, across the great state of Alaska. the Hawaiian chain to the island nation of Guam, American Samoa to Puerto Rico, that God is not finished with America. I don't care what the media says. I don't care what the papers say. I don't care what they try to stir up in our ineffective Congress or even our Senate, where that the whole place has been bought and is under the control of a cabal that basically runs the show. But God put an outsider in to give America one last opportunity. And I believe that we are going to see another great spiritual awakening. That's why they're so upset. That's why they're trying to do everything that they can. That's why they just label you. If you don't agree with them, then you must be a racist. Well, guess what? We're not racist. We love God and we love people. We love people of every tribe and every tongue. And so God is moving in our land. I have a Bible school here. We have had 500 students here this morning, and I addressed them. I spoke about some of these things. The place went wild. People understand, and we have every tribe and tongue in our Bible school. So God is raising up an army of men and women that will not compromise, that will not sit with one foot in the world and one foot in the kingdom of God. God's raising up preachers that are not worried about their tax-exempt status, that will boldly speak out from the pulpits of the land, and that will say exactly what needs to be said. And I feel it's happening, Alex. I feel God is doing that, and we are seeing a groundswell. I believe there are more that are with us than are with them. These people are a minority that make the biggest amount of noise and try to act out like they're a majority. And that's not the case. So I believe we're going to see the hand of God intervene in our nation. And I understand the planned attack to remove the president. But you know, when I launched that prayer initiative, we literally have thousands of people now that have gone to our website, revival.com, and signed up on the President Prayer Initiative that are praying around the clock. When I walked into a church in Hong Kong, a Chinese lady grabbed me. She said, I signed up. I'm praying for the president. So people all over the world are praying for America, praying for our president, and praying that God intervene as he has in the 1700s and the 1800s, that he does it one more time, that God intervene in our country. So I see all this stuff happening, but I have great excitement in myself, in my spirit, to believe that God has heard our cry and that he is intervening. And I believe that all these plans of the enemy, that God is just going to pull the rugs from underneath them. And whatever they set up, if they dig a ditch for us, they'll fall in it themselves. So I know that's maybe a little bit a different side from what some people would expect or want to hear, but that's what I feel right down in my deepest part of my heart.
Hello, Pastor. This is Gary Haven. We finally got Alex to get out and go on vacation. I got to tell you, amen. You know, the only hope that we have ultimately, because this is a spiritual battle.
Totally.
You know, the enemy is doing everything he can to steal, kill, and destroy this country. And you're right about everything you said. I got to tell you, it was almost like a prayer for 10 minutes listening to you. You know, one of my best friends is Pastor Ramiro Pena. He's on the Trump's advisory committee, so I get to spend time with him almost daily to get the inside. We're going to have him on here as a guest in a bit, and he's going to tell us about Trump's spirituality. And I think he's going to say that Trump's a baby Christian, but he's a Christian, and he knows God has put him in this place and this time for this purpose, and understands that. And he is one of the first presidents in memory to have a spiritual advisory committee, a group that he met with very early in his presidency, so that he's sure to hear what God would have for him. And you know, the truth is such a fragile thing right now. You know, what you witnessed on your trip on the TV screens, what we've seen all this week, is the truth being twisted and distorted, omitted, in a way that I've never seen before, and I've been an observer of this for a long, long time. We have got the truth on our side. We have to be bold about it, and I got to tell you, your 10 minutes there it was articulate and bold and amazing, and I want to commend you for that. And it encourages everybody else, you know, people that are afraid of being ridiculed or made fun of because they're standing up for the truth. It just so happens that right now, the truth is that we have a good man in the White House who's trying to do the right thing by the American people in a system that has been stolen from us. a system that has been bought and paid for. You know, either side of the aisle, it's not a Republican or Democrat thing. These people are beholden to the moneyed interest. And, you know, I made a movie. I don't know if you got to see it, Amerigeddon. And the byline of the movie was they've stolen our country and it's time to take it back. And I believe that right now. They have stolen our country, and they're getting more violent, more dishonest, particularly this last week than they've been in a long, long time. We have got to recognize this. And by the way, the only hope, and I completely agree with this, is Jesus, the author of truth. We have got to come together. You know, I spent a lot of time in Haiti last year. I actually lived there 6 weeks, flying search and rescue and saved the lives of dozens of, guess what, Black Haitians. So I've got the credentials that people can't criticize me and call me a racist. And you know, we love these people. And by the way, you're South African. I've been to Joburg a couple of times. It's really scary that they're going to try to repeat here in America what they've done in South Africa. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on there and how we can avoid that?
Well, what's happening in South Africa right now, first of all, the borders are open. So unofficial population is just about 100 million. And we heard that right from the inside of the headquarters in Pretoria that does all the census. They said we can't announce it, but there's 100 million people. So you got all the Nigerians that have come down, the Zambians, many from the Central and North Africa.
We'll be right back with more on the Alex Jones Show. Gary Haven, Owen Schroyer, Pastor Rodney Browne with us.
Sorry about that, Pastor. If you would, please continue us about the South Africa version, because it may very well be a preview to what's going to happen here in this country.
Okay, so now you have this influx of everybody coming down, taking the jobs of the Black South Africans, and they start to kill one another, what's called xenophobia. So it's black-on-black violence in the townships where they're killing Nigerians, killing, you know, all the foreigners that they feel they're taking their jobs. But then you've got this group of people that feel like the white farmers need to pay for their sins. So they're going from farm to farm, killing. It's almost genocide at this juncture right now. I mean, basically, they'll come to a farm. I mean, these are wealthy farmers that have had the farms for hundreds of years. They'll come right onto the property. They'll grab the man. They'll cut his eyelids off so he can't close his eyes. They'll rape his wife. They'll kill his kids in front of him and then kill him and just leave. They don't steal anything. They just come and murder. It's a genocide that's taking place right now because they feel like they need to purge the land from all the things that have happened in history. And of course, what people don't understand, that all this agenda, this is all an agenda that's been laid out a long, long time ago. You cannot do what you're doing. The cabal that runs the planet cannot do what it's doing if the people are unified. So what they do is they'll come in and cause the problem. I saw the problem now just in Hong Kong between political groups that are even dividing the churches. So you can see that taking place, even in India.
And Pastor
now.
Brown, I can't help it. This is so powerful. I hope you'll come back and join us more often. I know you travel the world and do such an amazing job, and my crew's here co-hosting, but I just can't be drug away. Specifically, you've covered the positive global awakening, but how the enemy's coming in against the Spirit of God. But specifically, can you get into how the Secret Service visited you but won't visit the former CIA deputy director that said they're preparing to kill the president, or the former director that said they're preparing to remove him? Can you talk about after you warned the world, they came and visited you, and then I read that you talked to Congress again. I wanted to confirm that because I only read it in a newspaper. You have to check those, obviously, and because they lie so much, and that you did confirm that they were saying it was physically removed, i.e. physical coup. Can you just speak to those things?
Yeah. First of all, I never talked to Congress again because I got the story right the first time. When the Secret Service called us was due to somebody reporting us to Washington, D.C., probably a disgruntled minister. That's how things go. So anyway, they called the office here, and I was in 2 meetings a day. And I said, listen, come to my office. Come meet with me. So they arrived, walked in, the main Secret Service guy, 2 other guys with him that he was training. And I showed them, I've got a lot of animals in my office because I'm a hunter. So they saw my elephant and everything, and we were laughing, and we sat down. He opened up a folder, and he said, so who's the congressman? And I said, I can't tell you that. I started to laugh. And he said, well, we need to know the congressman. I said, absolutely not. I said, I'll tell you everything he said. And I said that I was told that the talk on the Hill was that the president would be removed physically in the next 2 months. And I used the terminology that was told to me by the congressman. He said, well, we need to know who the congressperson is. I said, I'm sorry, sir, I can't tell you. You're probably going to have to subpoena me. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to do at that juncture. I'll probably pull a Hillary Clinton at that time. But the fact of the matter is this. I said, if you boys are doing your job, then you already know. Why you come here and bother me about it? I felt that, then he tried to insinuate that I was trying to draw people to my website. I said, go to ranking.com. My website's been in the top 200,000 websites in the world for 15 years. What are you talking about? I said, I'm trying to get people to pray and get people to my website. What weed are you smoking? Anyway, it worked out.
Well,
okay.
Pastor, let's talk about this briefly before your colleague joins us, because this is so incredible. They're already in the news saying they're going to remove him. You say this, then right after you say it, they go on the news and say they're getting ready to remove him physically outside of impeachment. Now they say they're going to kill him, which totally vindicates you, but then they tried to spin it like you were bad. This is this upside down world. Why do you think suddenly the former director of national intelligence, the former head of the CIA, the former deputy head, all said they're going to remove him or kill him, and Al Gore said he'd be removed the next 2 months as well? They all said exactly what you said. I've talked to members of Congress too. They're calling him up, telling him, you better get in line, you better not back Trump, or we'll get you too. I've gotten these phone calls, and of course they're in confidence. You can't say. There's an intimidation campaign going on. Now you see it a month in after your warning, the gear up for the demonization and the civil unrest. So let's speak to why you think they came out right after you spoke this, and clearly now you've been proven right. What do we do next? Obviously prayer is paramount, but in the information war, call Congress, call C-SPAN, call talk radio. What do we do? Spread this live interview right now, or the videotape interview of this, or what do we do temporarily? And I agree, it's all about spirit and God, and the rest will happen. But specifically, why did they do this? Right after you said it, A, B, what do we do? What's coming next?
Look, they were here for about 15 minutes. Then he realized it was a nothing burger. And then they left. I haven't heard back from them again. And even if they contact them again, I wouldn't tell them who the congressperson is. I've had people try to guess, but they must just keep guessing. The fact of the matter is this, that, like you said, they have not investigated the other people or gone to them, but they just tried to basically intimidate. Maybe they thought that I was a pastor who's just going to roll over, but they picked on the wrong person. I don't play by that game. So, Alex, I'm a radical. I mean, I believe in the Constitution, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. We start gun clubs in churches. I give away AR-15s on a Sunday morning. So maybe I'm around a different kind of a church. I'm not sure that even some of the other men that are on the council would even do stuff like that. But I know what America's about. And, I grew up watching
I understand you're victorious. God's a victorious spirit. So here we are. The enemy wants to say on their platforms they're going to kill the president, but they don't want us on our platforms to prepare the people to say no and know how much danger he is in. Can you speak to that specifically and just what it's like to be praying with him? And we have another pastor coming on who prays with him routinely, and what you think about the spirit of Trump and why God's chosen him right now to be in this key position and the great courage he has with what's happened to his family, him. I mean, I don't want to just sit here and talk about how great he is, but he is in the lion's den right now. This is such an incredible moment. Please continue.
I think the fact of the matter is this, that, they're going to try everything to try to stop him because he's already wrecking their agenda. Basically, he allowed to finish his first term, he will set the globalist agenda back 30 to 40 years. I mean, that's what's going on here. That's why you see the same people of the GOP that are attacking him, the same people like Lindsey Graham and John McCain and all of and Mittens Romney and all of the other people, the same media that was attacking him. So what I want to say to Christians, obviously you need to pray. The best thing to do, I know when you sit down to pray over your food, bless your food, ask God to bless your food, and then pray for the president. That'll at least be 3 times a day that you can do that. Then call your congressman and call your senator and tell them, we just want you to know that we support our president, because they need to hear from you. What I've learned is a lot of the people up on the Hill, they get the information from the news media. Well, the news media are going to put a spin and a bias and an agenda. So they need to hear from the American people. And I tell you, these people are in for a shock, because not only will he succeed in what he's doing, but he will win a second term, and it will be by a landslide, because by that time we would have already cleared out all the fake people that voted in this last election that gave Hillary the popular vote, which was really bogus in any way, shape, or fashion that you look at it. Look, everybody has to stand up. You know, here's the thing. If we don't hang together, we'll hang separately. And if people just leave this thing alone and you think it'll all sort itself out, it won't. We need to pray like it all depends on God, and then we need to get up and go like it all depends on him. The president is a man that has asked for prayer. And I'll say this, he's been in 5-hour prayer meetings with people just praying. I even asked people, said, does he sit on his phone when they said there's no phone around him. He just, with his head bowed, and as people pray. He's a very humble man when it comes to the things of God. And I could tell you the way that he responded to us when we walked into the Oval Office. My jaw dropped open. Alex, listen. I mean, basically, the president said that here were people representing the real power, the power of God. That's what he said when we walked into the office. So I don't care what the media say. God has put the president in this position. He came up against all odds with all of the other horses that were being backed, where they said he would never win, and he won. And now they're trying to remove him from office. But I believe if the people, the American people, the same people that voted for him, voted him off, please do not listen to the media. Do not listen to CNN. Don't listen even to Fox. I beg you, please, do not listen to these people. They've been co-opted, and they are pumping an agenda. I'm just telling you right now. You know in your gut feeling, that's why you backed the president when he was running, against all odds, against every lie, against $2 billion thrown at him. He still succeeded. And so to every American, to every patriot, to every person, even if you're American living in another country, find out where your congressperson is, call them and tell them, we just want you to know that we back the president, and you better back him, otherwise we're going to remove you in 2018 or 2020. It's time. It's time now to draw a line in the sand, and if they want to fight, we'll take the fight to whatever level needs to happen.
Pastor, those are powerful words. Well spoken. We really appreciate having you today. I think you've been very informative and really shown the true hope, which is this is a spiritual battle. And those of us that have a Judeo-Christian worldview need to never forget that and to take it to prayer. So thank you very much. Good talking with you.